perception is reality. Your
Mm.
client's perception is reality. And it's up to us to influence and inspire your client to partner with you, to understand of why they should partner with you. A lot of people don't understand that we're all different. So where perception is reality, each and every one of us brings a different lens to that perception. And so we can't have a cookie cutter conversation.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the I Will Aim podcast. Our topic for today: your brand unleashed. Some people fail to make progress not because they lack knowledge or talent, but rather because they fail to realize that their soft skills are essential for building strong relationships. Be ready to level up with my guest, Lisa Shorr. Welcome, Lisa.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
You're welcome. How about let's kick it up with a quick introduction?
Absolutely. So I am here in the lovely state of Rhode Island on the East Coast, and I am a business and brand and image coach specializing on the human side of a business. So I also own an IT business here in Rhode Island, and I focus on marketing and branding. And what I really love, and I'm going to share the story in a bit, I know, is how I became an image professional. But I then started Shore Success as a way of teaching other professionals how to have the communication skills to communicate and to build trusting, loyal relationships. And I'm the author of Your Brand Unleashed. And this is such a critical, yay! And it's such a critical book, especially in the age of AI. And I know you've prepared a question about that as well. So I'm so excited to dive in and just talk about empathetic communication.
Let's start with the first question. You've spent over 25 years helping professional and businesses elevate their presence. What drew you to professional and corporate branding as a mission?
So, years and years ago, decades ago, my grandmother sold makeup and skincare for a living. And there wasn't a time that I didn't visit Grandma Bell and we had to fill an order or I had to be quiet because she was doing a demonstration with a group of women around the table talking about skincare and moisturizing. So, I call her my original image consultant. But I
Mm.
didn't know that that's really what I would end up. I mean, I'm not just skincare now, but I didn't know that I would end up in the image world until about a decade, well, more than a decade ago now, because I've been an image professional and Shore Success 10 years. But before that, my IT company struggled and we got fired from a client, not because of our technical skills, but we actually had the opportunity to have an exit interview. And they said, every time I call your office, your team acts as if they have no idea who I am. I have to explain myself over and over again. And we've been with you for 10 years. You should know us by now.
Wow.
Right? Exactly. That was when my husband came home to me after that meeting and he said, how are you going to fix this, Lisa? I was like, wait, I'm marketing. What do you mean? I have to fix our phones? I'm going to have to fix our engineers? Like, what does this mean? So at the time, I was doing styling work part time. I love clothing, I love fashion. And so I was working with professional women on cleaning closets and taking them personal shopping. But what I knew, I had to expand my understanding of the human and how we communicate, how we deliver a message so that we weren't getting fired again because of our phone skills. And really, the bigger picture was our soft skills, the way we were developing relationships and looking at churn in a business. We weren't focusing on that. We thought our technical skills could carry us all along the way. That wasn't to be. So I thank Grandma Bell for giving me the foundation, no pun intended, with makeup. But then I actually thank that client of 10 years, that car dealership, who gave us the honesty of, hey, You didn't make us feel like a VIP. Your phone skills were so lacking. I've got to let you go. So, as painful as that was, it was a pivotal moment for me to learn what it means to be empathetic and what it means to communicate with our entire physical being, from our appearance, our clothing, our nonverbal messaging, our vocals. All of that matters.
It's interesting because you mentioned you weren't fired for the skill that your primary source of business is, and you were fired for what some people call soft skill, but in my opinion are one of the most important skill. But a
Yes.
lot of people who have technical skill takes it for granted. It's really interesting. But thank you for sharing that tough story, but then a pivotal story. Let's talk about your book because this is an award-winning book. We
Yes.
were at the same awards ceremony. That's how I got to meet you. Your book, Brand Unleashed, capture lessons from turning around your own technology company. What inspired you to write it, and why do you feel the need to actually do that work and be sort of like an ambassador?
I love that. That's my goal. My ultimate mission in life is to be known as the empathetic communication coach of the globe. And so thank you for being, calling me or using the word ambassador, because that's my true mission in life. So I wrote this book not right away. I mean, it took me 10 years of coaching. Once I figured out how to fix my own IT company, I took that then and I said I started with other IT companies, and I'm like, other IT companies need this training. Let me start there. And then it's blossomed into other businesses as well. But I can only coach so many people. So I wrote my book so that I could really expand my message globally and really have that the message of, hey, the way we speak to each other, the way that we communicate, for the most part, I mean, there are situations where this doesn't apply, but we want to be intentional with what we say, how we say it. And a primary question I don't think enough leaders or enough people are asking is, how do I want to be perceived by
Mm,
others? And does my communication align with that? So I wrote this book for two reasons. One, to expand it to the masses, because my dream and my desire is to be that ambassador to effective, emotional, intelligent communication. But I also wrote it because I wanted it to be a guidebook, a blueprint for how to teach soft skills in a business. The book is written not as poetic prose, but really written to share a story of the topic and then an exercise that can be done with a team. So, because the first thing people always ask me when they meet me is, how do you teach this? Where do I begin? So I started saying, okay, well, I need a book here. I can't just physically me being one person. And I was trying to do group training and speaking, but I wasn't reaching a big enough audience. And the book is allowing me to really expand exponentially more than I ever thought I could, but in a way that I'm teaching, in a way that it's a digestible book for people to implement in their businesses right away. Building business, building relationships, and really thinking about loyalty, client loyalty. It's critical.
I love your point about intentionality because that is sort of I think the cousin of awareness, right?
Mhm.
Awareness is knowing how you want to conduct yourselves, and intentionality is the act in which you want to carry out that work that you're doing. And thank you for writing the book because I totally agree. As a fellow author, writing the book expand your reach and allow you to reach other people that otherwise you won't have the face time on. And thank you for actually doing this work because, from my perspective, and I'm sure a lot of my listener would agree, it's a much needed, especially as AI is in the mainstream, and everyone just think about AI and what AI would do for us. But
Oh,
human empathy and emotional intelligence are so much more important now more than ever.
100%. If we rely on AI and chatbots, we risk becoming a commodity. We risk being the same. I mean, One of our differentiators in business is, you're a leadership coach as well. And we have a lot of love that you and I have so much in common, and our mindsets are so aligned. And we have to differentiate ourselves. And the way we do that in business is through impactful communication. AI can't be flexible or adaptable or vary their voice if there's a problem. And if the client is feeling any kind of stress, angst, uncertainty, AI can create, a ticket in your system or create an automation of some sort, but they can't talk a client off the ledge. They can't explain what the mindset was or that went behind a decision that was made. Or it's really critical that we don't become that commodity, because then you lose that trust that is so ingrained. When people make a purchase, when our clients make a purchase on us, it's an emotional decision. It's
Yeah,
not,
it is.
it's total emotional. It's like they don't know for sure that you are going to be their best coach, their best IT provider, their best doctor, lawyer, but you're going based on your confidence, that you just the confidence that they've received, testimonials that they see, a great website, some of that validation and referrals, of course, but they don't know for sure. It's a feeling. And so that's AI can't give that feeling. A human can.
Yeah. I think the empathy, right? The empathy is the one. AI could create, I would call empathy. And AI now is smart enough that it tend to agree with you more. And if you use a lot of AI tool and you tell the AI what do they think, they tend to agree with you, which is kind of scary because you also don't want someone to actually agree with you all the time,
No, you don't want to
right?
be surrounded by yes people all the time. You're right.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that's a scary part of it. So let's talk more about your book. On your book, you had a method called brand, which is amazing. Yeah, BRAND, brand. Can we kind of touch on high level what brand is all about? What does it stand for? And how does it help transform the business?
So brand is an acronym, and that's why you see the PRAND, and it stands for our behavior, which is the way that we display ourselves, the actions we take, emotional intelligent actions. I talk a lot about that in the book. It could be time management. I mentioned time management in the book. It's those actions that we take that build loyalty. So the whole premise of my book is about, it stemmed from me getting fired from that client and really having a whole new relationship with loyalty. So every single letter and brand has to do with how do we build loyal and trusting clients. So our behavior impacts that. And that's one of the first step I took at my IT business, Secure Future Tech Solutions, was what were our actions? How were we behaving? And it was not to the level that we thought we were. R is about respect. And there's three forms of it: respecting ourselves physically. Are we taking care of ourselves? Are we liking ourselves? Are we envisioning ourselves as leaders and as ownership of the job that we're doing? And the other pieces of respect come in form of respecting the corporate brand that you work for or that you own, and how are you representing the brand, and then respecting the client's brand. The client has a brand that deserves respect. It deserves our attention and our understanding. So that's R for respect. A is really where I started my image journey, and that's our appearance. Not
Mhm.
just clothing, though. It's clothing and posture and nonverbal messaging. So our clothing, and I know we're in a day, I miss the days when I first trained to be an image consultant, when we talked about suits, and I still wear jackets and suits, but they're pantsuits now, not skirt suits. But I still love a great structured jacket, because as an image professional, it creates authority. I thought about what I was going to wear today on this podcast, and I'm purposely wearing blue. I knew my book would be a nice bounce, but blue is professional, psychology of color. But I talk about uniforms and really understanding consistency in a business. We don't want to be a distraction. Our clothing can easily be a distraction or misunderstood. Equally important is our nonverbal messaging.
Mm.
Thinking about, before you and I chatted, you were like, hey, we came on live, you were like, hey, can you turn off the blurring of your background? It's a little bit of a distraction. Absolutely. I don't want that to be a distraction. I just want my message to be heard. So, and then I'm thinking about the placement of my camera. But if I'm in person, am I making eye contact? Am I giving a strong handshake? Am I slouching my shoulders or sitting up? So all of those matter when we're building a relationship. N is the only letter of brand that actually doesn't have to do with the physical aspects of our body, but actually says get out and network. Meet with your clients, do technical business review meetings, quarterly business review meetings, whatever meetings that your host having, meet with your clients, check in on them. How are they doing? And then also networking, marketing. That's my degree is in marketing. So conversation starters, where are you networking? Are you industry focused and vertical focused? And then D rounds it out with our voice. And I call that dynamic dialogue.
Mm.
And I can't tell you how we had an engineer back in the day. I'm just going to kind of put all my dirty laundry out there. I'm going to, stay confident. Stay quiet about some of my clients because, there's confidentiality, but my MSP I'll share. So, but we had an engineer that a client said, don't send him back. He makes me feel stupid. He doesn't speak to me in a tone and I was like, oh my God, how did we miss that? And then when we started analyzing it, we realized, you know what? Nobody wants to actually approach this person because it's true. Super smart, very technical, but had no ability to communicate. I didn't know then how to
Mm.
coach, how to take out an approach. It's taken me years for the training. So that's the brand method. And it is intended to teach each leader, and I'm considering a leader either a business owner, a manager, or a solopreneur, if you're the leader of yourself, how to make transformation, how to go from thinking, I'm just going to focus on my technical skills or my clinical skills to saying, wait a minute, I need to be more intentional with the way that I'm acting, with the way, because it's very expensive to lose a client and all of the marketing to bring a lead and to get our phones to ring in our businesses. It's easily over $500 per call, per lead calling. If we bungle that, and we're losing, we're like throwing money out the window. Nobody wants that. As a business owner, I look at churn, I look at EBITDA, I look at profitability, I look all those numbers. So we need to do all we can to really think about how intentional, using that word again, but how intentional am I being with building relationships? And it starts physical. It starts with the human side. So that's the brand method in a nutshell.
Thank you for sharing the brand method. I think for a lot of the listener out there, I think it's important for you to pick up this book, read it, learn the brand method, and write a review for
Yes,
Lisa. I think
please.
review are very important. As an author, we always ask for review. Whatever perspective you're coming from, review is a review. And thank you for sharing. And I do believe that the brand method is so powerful because it not only helps you transform yourself and your people, it also deepen your relationship with your client because ultimately that's what matters is our client know that we listen to them and more importantly we care about them.
Right. Huge, huge. They just want to know that you understand them. You don't always have to agree with them, but when you don't agree with them, explain why. Or,
Yes.
explain what this is, I hear what you're saying. Let me paraphrase this back. What I hear is this. You know what? I understand your idea. This is going, I know what's going to be best for your business or what have you. Let's explore this idea together. So it's a matter of how we go about building that relationship. And we want to be viewed as advisors, trusted advisors, partners, not just a vendor. We don't want to ever be a vendor because once you do that, then you're viewed again as that commodity and you're not differentiating yourself. You're going to be in that sea of sameness. And that's where we were. And I don't want anyone to experience that the way we did.
So we talk about your book, we talk about your method, brand method. How about like we talk about the leaders in the organization because ultimately at the end of the day, their people follow the leader. For
Yes.
for leaders out there that are struggling to improve their self-image and the way they connect their people, what are the ways you now want to highlight your ability as a transformational coach, help them pivot in the right direction?
So the first thing we sit down and do, the book is there's other chapters in the book that are equally important to the success of really making a trans and really unleashing your brand and making that transformation from a quiet leader, a misunderstood leader, to one that has a very strong, what we call in the image world, executive presence. And
Presence, yeah.
executive presence is our ability to walk in the room and command that amazing attention, but not demand it, right? There's a difference between demanding it and commanding it. And so when you turned on the camera and you hit record today, I wasn't sitting quietly down looking down. I was looking at the camera smiling. I wanted to set the tone of the energy of this conversation. Everything we do should be intentional. So I work with clients to create that awareness. And then through one-on-one coaching or team coaching, we go right into the chapters of the brand method, starting with setting goals. Almost every client that I work with, that I've worked with over the past 10 years, they don't have any real goals set other than I want to grow my business. And so when you have a goal of I want to grow my business, then you're not really strategic on how, you're not really, not only you're not strategic on the decisions to make, but you can't really become a brand until you know where you're going. So that's always step one when I work with clients as I help create tangible goals, definitely financial related. As a business owner, I run my business, my technology business and my coaching business by the numbers. And that's okay. We want to understand our numbers, our revenue, our profitability. We can't hire people, we can't invest in professional development if we don't have a profit. So I start with goals and create that clarity. Then we work on our mindset of some of the what I call head trash that oh, companies, they're not gonna, I can't raise my prices. They're gonna fire me. I can't, I don't know how to do that. Whatever their head trash is, I work on transforming that. Then we can go into each section of the brand method and we go right in, we talk about emotional intelligence and what does it mean to demonstrate sympathy over empathy? What is it? What is a personal brand and why should you care? How do you become a memorable personal brand, which is different than your corporate brand? Because your personal brands build corporate brands. So we
Mhm.
talk about that differentiator so that by the end, there's confidence, there's clarity, there's a physical awareness of how that leader presents themselves has a direct influence on and has a ripple effect on client and prospect too. We should
Yeah.
also, my book talks about client loyalty, but I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the prospecting process. And because the business can't just live on the existing clients, they have to be prospecting. They have to be, referrals and networking events and all of that. What are people seeing? So it's that transformation, that one-on-one, customized, personalized coaching that they get with me is really, and the uniqueness is I take the image stance. So and really hone in on the vocals, your posture, your clothing, the color of your clothing. So, and it really matters, maybe an email, grammar. So we talk about etiquette, dining
Mhm.
etiquette. When you're in a business meeting, how do which fork and knife, no, not the knife, which
Yeah.
fork and which spoon to use?
Yeah.
Passing the
And the
bread.
order.
So, yep, it matters because people are creating perceptions all along. The whole journey is a perception, and we want to
Well,
be.
thank you for sharing how you help your client transform. You mentioned one of the misconception is they couldn't change their price. Are there any other misconception that your client brought up early on during your coaching process that you could share with my community?
Yeah, absolutely. I wrote a couple of things down that I wanted to make sure I said here. One of them was price, but we get the job done. So another mindset is I'm technical, I'm clinical, I'm technical, I am certified, I'm educated, I'm a doctor. I got those skills. Isn't that enough? Isn't just my technical skills. I was at the dentist this week and I was saying, in your dental school, in your dental program, don't they have a class on soft skills and bedside manner? And no, no, he did not have a class on that. He said, tell me more about what you do. He had no idea anything about image and communication training. So that's a big one, resting on your laurels of your training and your education. We've always done it this way is another one.
Yeah,
Be
that's
very, very
scary.
careful. That complacency is very detrimental to innovation.
Yes,
Such a detrimental
scary.
impact. So we got to be very careful of that one. I don't have time for this soft skills. I don't have time. So then it becomes, I have to work in the business. I have to go create that invoice. I have to go solve that client issue. I have to go place an order. Well, when we're so busy working in the business, you're going to end up like me and getting fired because you weren't actually working on the business. And
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite books is The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, and it's all about working on the business versus just in the business. And it's critical to get tasks done and all of that, but if we have the mindset, I'll deal with this later, it could be too late and the client is already looking for your competitor because they just don't feel heard. They don't feel valued. They don't feel like a VIP. So those are some of the key areas that I hear consistently over the past 10 years. And some of that mindset of, we've always done it this way. It's worked up until now. Well, we have AI happening right now. And if anybody is saying, nah, my process is fine. I'm encouraged. I'm never going to say not to use AI because we have to embrace it. It was like embracing the internet and all the other changes that have come along the way. This is just going to be another evolution of our business landscape, of our life landscape. So I'm dating myself, but I remember when I didn't even have a cell phone, and now I
yeah.
can't live without it.
Those were the days. I
Those
remember
were
those.
the days.
I love the fact that you talk about you emphasizing the fact that people said I can do that later, and later meant at some point your client's already looking for someone else to replace you. And I think that's a very important message to our audience today. That things that you could do now to build and deepen that relationship is something that you should be doing instead of invoicing, inventory, and things like that. You are going to work on those too, but you need to prioritize deepening a relationship, understanding, using the brand method, right, to really improve yourself and improve your relationship with your client. For someone listening to our episode today, what are the two most important messages you want them to remember as they listen to the episode?
Two key things I want to make sure, and I jotted this down because I want to make sure I stress the emphasis of this is one, perception is reality. Your client's perception is reality. And it's up to us to influence and inspire your client to partner with you, to understand of why they should partner with you. The second piece that I have discovered, and I wrote this into the book, is a lot of people don't understand that we're all different. So where perception is reality, each and every one of us brings a different lens to that perception. And so we can't have a cookie cutter conversation. The way that I'm speaking with you, Will, could be different than the way that I speak to one of my clients, could be different than the way that I speak to one of my employees at my IT company, which is different than the way that I speak to one of my daughters. I have two daughters also, just like you. And depending on the conversation, everybody was raised in this amazing journey of life. And we all have different backgrounds, different sets of values, which makes that perception tricky, but not impossible.
Mm.
So I want that awareness. So, starting point, is to be aware of the power of the way you communicate, way you physically, humanly communicate. And my desire is that we communicate with empathy and emotionally intelligent responses so that you're building relationships and you're building that trust that keeps clients, your friends, your family, whatever is important to you, solid. So it doesn't, and then when issues arise, really considering how are you dealing with it? Are you looking at both sides? Are you understanding and validating each person's perspective and then trying to figure out a resolution? So that's really what I want people to take away. Perception is reality. Take ownership for how you present yourself and how you respond, because everybody is going to listen and perceive differently. And so because they have a different set of values, different upbringing, different countries, different cities, different parts of the globe have different cultures.
Hey, thank you for sharing the two takeaway. If my audience wants to reach out to you, what's the best way to connect with you?
Visit shoresuccess.com, and right on the homepage of my website is schedule a meeting. So please schedule a meeting, visit me, or connect with me on LinkedIn. I have a Substack blog that I write. I provide content every single week on. I just started it recently. So I have a Substack blog, and certainly grab my book on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, any of the online retailers. I'm there. I would love
Thank
that.
you, Lisa, for your time. I really appreciate your time. And
I love it.
congratulations again on winning the Living Now Award.
And same to
And
you.
wishing you continued success.
Thank you. Thank you. I value this opportunity to share my message and to partner with you. And it's awesome that we both won the same award. And I'm just excited to be in your circle. So thank you.
You're welcome.